Have you ever noticed that the stacking community is knee deep in so many different conspiracies? And that not only are they knee deep in it, but there are so many different ones that they don't even agree on the conspiracies themselves. I love it. I love it because it's so informative, so enlightening as to the perspectives of just other people in the community, but also just, what regular average Joes in the world are thinking about, anything from the markets to politics to the dollar to religion. It's all in the stacking community. And it's amazing. I love it. The reason that I thought it was important to talk about this today is because, I think one of the big pervasive themes in the stacking community is really, the demise of the dollar. Oh, the dollar is going to go, it's going to disappear. You shouldn't be in dollar denominated assets. You need to get out of the dollar. And, there are so many different forums of media that feed into that whole narrative. Like I said, Kitco and YouTube and just, so many different things, all of the SD bullion, little things that they come out with, the little videos talking about, currency. It all feeds into that narrative of you need to be scared of the system because the system's going to come crumbling down, and that's why you need gold and silver to save you. And it's just, I feel like, it's well-intentioned to a point. The regular people who are out there trying to just make people aware of what the future may hold and, what could come down the pike and those kind of things. There's a lot there. There's a lot to be, sorry, got the hot rod going by. There's a lot to be, aware of, I would say. But the thing is that at the end of the day, you still have to live your regular life, right? You can't just sit by the clock waiting for, the demise of the dollar or, this, that, and the other thing to come down the pike. The problem with hearing those narratives and hearing those things is it stops you from the other opportunities that you may have, for your money, to grow your money. So many times I've in the comments especially had to kind of really talk about why would you rule anything out as a as an investor, as a stacker, as an anything? Why would you rule out something that could end up giving you more metals? Why would you do that? And there's so many people in the community who tend to do that stuff. Oh, you need to get yourself out of the dollar. Don't be sitting on cash because it's dying and da-da-da. Again, my biggest take on that whole thing, and again, I'm not saying I'm right or you're wrong, or my biggest take is really at the end of the day, all of us, each and every one of us, is so dependent on the system as is. If that system were to really come crashing down, which that is theoretically possible, just as possible as an asteroid hitting the Earth or the rapture occurring. They're all right there, as far as things that could potentially happen. The problem is that when you live your life waiting for those things, life passes you by, and secondly, you miss out on so many different opportunities to improve your situation. That's why you can't rule anything out. Even things like crypto and things like that, I can definitely see as a stacker how, the stacking community really doesn't, for the most part, embrace things like crypto. Why would they? The stacking community is really fundamental. They like, tangible things. They like things that, have a track record and things like that. That is all completely understandable. And again, well-intentioned, good reasoning, logical, all of the above. The thing is that, as with anything, I look back to, the advent of the internet really taking hold in the private sector, in the public, in the 90s. In the beginning, obviously the young people were the people to embrace it and, be in front of the computer 24 hours a day and chat rooms and AOL and this and that and dial-up. And, for a long time, I don't think anyone really saw the direction that it was going, where, literally everything that we do now is, on the computer, on a network of some sort. And so that really could be the advent of, digital currency. Is there one particular one that's going to take over? Probably not. That's the hard part, is we can't see how this all plays out. But by limiting yourself, again, what was last year, crypto winter, when, Bitcoin fell all the way from 62,000 down to, at the lows, 16,000? That's a huge fall. That is a huge drop. But now it's back at 30,000. Who knows, where it goes from here, and all the other currencies. The big thing is, we all have our daily lives, right? There's only so much information that you can absorb, that you can really wrap your head around. So many different concepts, things like that. You can't spend your time trying to really go full macro and then dive into the details, on a weekend or on a YouTube video that you saw. That's typically, if you're a new stacker, let me tell you right now, you are going to go down so many rabbit holes with stacking of this is better than that. You should be looking at this. This is an opportunity. You should be doing it this way. And the reality is that, at the end of the day, it really just depends on you. Like anything else in life, right? It really just depends on your situation, what's going to make sense for you. Because at the end of the day, when you're stuck with a big hunk of, your 100 ounces that everybody told you need to have, and then spot price falls back down to $16, and you're like, what the heck? I've been buying at 30, 33, 35. I've been buying Eagles, I mean, you're the one left holding the bag. YouTube will still be flush with people telling you that, you should have done it this way or blah, blah, blah. That's the thing. All of these different things. Look at the stock market. The stock market, there's so many people that after the initial big downturn and, after September, really, where the market really hit its bottom, there's still plenty of people who are sitting on the sidelines saying, no, it's going to make another leg lower, blah, 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 blah. Could it? Yeah. Is it likely? Probably not at this point. Why? Because again, with the stock market, it's all about certainty and uncertainty. A lot of the uncertainty has made its way out of the system. Now, that doesn't mean that, it's all roses and, butterflies moving forward. It means that whatever information's on the table now, the market feels like it can price it into prices. That's the kind of thing that's missing in the silver and gold market. You don't have that kind of thing. You don't have those dynamics going on in the silver and gold markets. People talk about them. Like if you go to like Kitco or blah, 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 any of these metals things, you're going to hear people talk about, well, fundamentally it should be better. Really? Okay. Well, fundamentally, stop. It's not okay to live in a fantasy world, trying to wish what you want to happen into existence. It doesn't work like that. And it will certainly not work like that with your stack. That's the big thing that nobody tells you. That's the big thing. When you first start stacking, you're totally going to feel like, hey, I'm ahead of the game. I was watching a short the other day with a guy who drove 20 miles to the coin shop to get 2 ounces of silver. And he was talking about like, blah, blah, blah. I got and of course they sold him Eagles. And I think he paid like $42 an Eagle. I was like, in the comments, I was like, they screwed you. Go back and tell them you want, 4 ounces of silver or 3 ounces of silver versus those 2 Eagles. You'll be way better off. But I mean, this is the thing is like, if you go into it with that naive, uncertain, hey, just give me some silver. Any silver is, what I'll take. The companies that sell that stuff are just going to give you the highest premium, the stuff. They're going to give you a song and dance about why you should choose that one. It's not true. It's just not true. I mean, there are certain advantages to certain things, like, Eagles tax advantages, but you can get those same tax advantages with Philharmonics. Are they I don't think the American Eagle is good looking, especially the Type 2, but the Philharmonics, now a lot of people hate those. But that being said, if you're just doing it for bullion, the hell does it matter? It doesn't. Surprise, it doesn't. These are the things, like I said, there's so much information out there. And if you go into it trying to, when I started, like I said, like I heard so many different things about, this series or pandas or kookaburras and it's like you want to get into it because your channel's talking about it and, you find it interesting. But at the end of the day, it's like, really, those things don't serve you. Here's a little burnished American Eagle if you haven't seen one. What's the difference? A burnished eagle is struck twice versus the normal eagle, which is just once. Can you really tell the difference? If you really look at it. But if it was just sitting with a bunch of other eagles, good luck with that. Definitely needle in the haystack. But is it nice to have? Yeah, why not? Why not have a burnished eagle inside your stack? But anyway, I mean, honestly, these kind of things, like when you first get started stacking and like, if you're telling your friend who knows nothing about metals, you're going to sound like a genius. You're going to sound like you know everything about stacking. When the reality is you know nothing except that, money's going out of your pocket to the bullion dealers. I feel like, people who watch, again, I love Yankee, more power to him, but like Yankee stacking. I mean, Yankee's channel, he used to make pretty decent content a while back. But the last couple years, it's literally been the Tim show, and all that they do is sit there. It's literally Tim ranting about how the communists are taking over, and then there's a 40-minute SD Bullion commercial that's just plain garbage, and then Tim comes back on to ask you to hand him fiat money for his medals. I don't get it. But I mean, I read the comments for fun, and it's kind of like, honestly, it's kind of scary at points, because people, like, seriously, it sounds like a religious, like, kind of like cult status, where people are just like, Yankees spreading the good news, and that. I'm like, what? What? It's crazy. But I mean, to each their own, right? I mean, if it's for entertainment, then by all means. But when it's your pocketbook getting handed over to SD Bullion, not that there's anything wrong with SD Bullion. I mean, there's the same crap as JM Bullion and APMEX and those kind of things. But even that stuff like that, when you're a new stacker, I mean, what is the difference between JM Bullion and APMEX and, you know, Money Metals and SD Bullion? Little things like that, you have no idea. I can tell you, I mean, I don't use most of them. The only thing I know is that JM Bullion is probably my go-to, because generally versus APMEX, the prices are lower. But if I'm looking for something that's nicer, and it, you know, I want it to be in stock, I go to APMEX. I'm going to pay more, but if I want it, it's there. Little things like that. You're going to learn about stacking. You're going to learn about where your go-tos are. If you don't have an LCS, which is a lot of people, I mean, it is what it is. Another interesting point. If you do have an LCS, you know, when you walk in there, make no mistake, you're behind the 8 ball. Whoever's working there, ideally, especially if, yeah, hopefully, they know a lot more about it than you ever will. And so, you know, when you walk in there, you have to walk in with the open mind, because depending on who you're dealing with, you know, they may take you to the cleaners, or they may, you know, take the time to actually take you under their wing and say, look, this is that, you know, whatever. Don't fall for the hype. Don't da-da-da, and give you the ropes. The other part is you have to be open to asking questions, which isn't easy for so many people. So many people like shy away, and they just, like I said, like I was watching a short the other day of the guy who was so proud that he walked in and bought his 2 Eagles, and I was like, did you ask if they had, and they're like, no, ask them if they had, no. Me, I'd rather have Maples any day over Eagles than, you know, especially for the price. If the price was the same, all right, give me either one. But we know darn well the price isn't the same. But little things like that, you know what I mean? My first sale at the coin shop, so funny story, in 2020 when price skyrocketed, I sold, I think, 5 tubes of Eagles, the ones from APMEX, the mint tubes. And again, I was like, ooh, cool, mint tubes, never circulated. So anyway, I went into the coin shop, and I'm like, yeah, I want to sell these. And he's like, at that time, people were selling like it was going out of style. So he's like, I'll give you a spot for your Eagles. And I was like, what? And I was like, can you do like $2 over a spot? Which at this time they were selling for, like, if you were buying, they were going for like, I think, what was it, $15 over spot or something like that. And he's like, all right, I'll do 2. So I sold 5 tubes of Eagles for $2 over spot. Now, and I was like, and it's funny because I remember I was like, oh, but they're BU. He's like, yeah, all Eagles should be BU, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I'm stupid. And I just folded and sold them. Now, in hindsight, you know, if someone would have told me like, hell no, get the hell out of there, I would have. But again, no one was there to really tell me like, this is what you should be looking for. These are the pitfalls of this and that. Nobody talks about all of these different, you know, literal pitfalls that stackers fall into. And it happens every day. Like I said, looking at people who listen to Yankees channel or like this and that, I'm like, yeah, you know, I just went on and bought 2 tubes of Eagles. I'm like, what? Why would you do that? Like, go buy 3 tubes of Maples or 3.5 tubes of Britannias, whatever the hell. Like, why? Now, one commenter did in one of my last videos, he was letting me know that Yankee doesn't really push the Eagles anymore. He, you know, right now he's pushing, I guess, Krugerrands and Britannias, things like that. Okay, more power to you, Yankee. Great job. Finally seeing the light that Eagles are not the way. That's fine. But still, even so, like I said, like there's just so many different things, you know, when I watch, you know, videos from like Yankee and also Silver Dragons. Silver Dragons, I used to like, you know, Silver Dragons more than I liked Yankee. But then, you know, when he got basically put into the Yankee basket and SD Bullion, yeah, now it's like, I look at the video titles and it's just hype videos. It's like, you know, the end of the dollar or this or that, and I'm just like, oh god. I'm like, so I think what was it the other day? Like, there was like he did a video of Silver Dragons about like there is no supply of silver or something like that, or zero ounces of silver left. And I was like, what? So okay, I had to click on the clickbait title and watch it, and I was just like, wow, this was totally misleading. And then of course the 4-minute SD Bullion freaking commercial. It was garbage, and I felt bad because I was just like, wow, even I fall for the hype to see the title was so good that I had to see what stupidity was being offered, and I had to get deep into the video to figure out the stupidity, but it was stupidity. All of these things, like I said, watch all the different channels, watch the people who are coming up, watch, I was watching, what was it, AG Stacker, or I don't know if it was AG Stacker or a Stack That Gold. One of them the other day was talking I saw a video from a few weeks ago where they bought eagles online, slabbed eagles, and they ended up being fake. It was like 5 of them, and then they were just talking about how that happened to them. Great, those are the things that people need to see, because it's gonna happen to you. It happens to everybody. These things happen all the time. But unless somebody tells you, hey, this is who you can trust, this is who you can't, this is, if you're gonna do that kind of thing, maybe dip your toe in it, but don't go all in. All of these different things, so much knowledge out there, but it's not going to come to you. You have to seek it out, and you have to really actively look at it and look for it, versus just falling for the big channels. The only big channel that I would say that you can literally just sit there and drink in like a cup of tea is Salivate Metal. So I've never seen Sal steer anybody wrong. His channel's informational. He's big in the community. He talks about relevant topics. He knows the history. He's been in it a long time, and it's not hype. He's just talking about, okay, once in a while he'll have a little bit of a hypey title, but he really talks it through. He takes it seriously, and he doesn't give you an angle. He's just saying, whatever it is. Do I agree with everything that Sal says? There's certain things maybe change, but all in good fun. At least I know that if Sal and I met in real life, we could have a conversation about it and laugh, versus the other sides that are just ridiculously entrenched in their thoughts. Anyway, that's it for today. Make sure your money's going to the smart metal.